This is Two Views Wrestling. Let's get into it.
Give me a hell yeah. What?
In 2022, at WrestleMania 38, Cody Rhodes made his triumphant return to WWE as he looked to finish his family's story. 2 years later, at WrestleMania 40, he finally did it by defeating Roman Reigns, ending one of the most dominant championship runs in WWE history at over 1,300 days. But what if Cody Rhodes never became a free agent? What if he stayed the franchise quarterback of AEW instead of becoming QB1 for WWE? In this episode, we're breaking down who could have taken the spot at the head of the table from Roman Reigns. Before we get into it, acknowledge us by hitting that subscribe button. Before I tag my partner in and we give our picks, I wanted to run down the names that I seen everyone talking about on the internet that could have beat Roman if Cody didn't show back up. The first one that seemed to be at the top of everyone's list was Sami Zayn. And I get it, like the Bloodline feud, the storyline was there. He was extremely over. He got a main event and Elimination Chamber against Roman. You just pushed that back to Mania 39. I do think he would have got the main event at WrestleMania 39 if Cody never signed. I don't see Sami winning, though. I think WrestleMania 39 was set up for Roman to win to really build his aura up. And maybe they would have went to 40 for Sami. I just don't think Sami's a guy that can keep momentum that long where Cody was able to. So I didn't see Sami Zayn as a realistic option. Do you agree with me that Roman had to win at 39 to actually solidify himself as this mainstream star? I think that win at 39 really put him to that legend status.
I don't know if he had to win at 39. I think that if he loses at 39, it's still an epic run. Maybe not one of the all-time great runs, but it's still a great run. I think he would have had to beat Sami at WrestleMania 39. I don't see Sami being the guy to beat him.
Another name that popped up a lot was Jey Uso. Again, I get it. He has this built-in storyline. That's not an option for me. I mean, we see what happened with Gunther. I don't think WWE would have went that way, and I think it's better that they didn't go that way.
For me, it's no yeet. I wouldn't have liked Jey Uso being the guy to end Roman's reign, and I mean it definitely wasn't. I didn't think it was a Mania-worthy match.
The third guy I saw everyone pick, this one was another one like Sami and Jey. I get that the storyline is there. I just don't think it was possible, and that's The Rock. What is realistically the point of The Rock taking the title from Roman and then losing it a year later to Roman? That's probably the move. I don't think that helps the company at all.
I don't like that either, mainly because if The Rock would have won the world title, would he have defended it at all in that 1 year? So we would have been without a world champion for a year straight while he films the Jungle Cruise 4 or whatever. And to me, I like Roman versus Rock. It doesn't need the title. To me, I think it's for the bloodline, essentially.
And then the last name that I kept seeing on everyone's list of guys that could have ended Roman's run as champion if Cody doesn't show up is Seth Rollins. Again, it's another name that I get. I understand their storyline. They have history. But Rollins needed to start the lineage for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I don't really see how that was a viable option either. If Rollins beats Roman, who starts off that World Heavyweight title?
I wouldn't have liked the Rollins and Roman. And plus, what made it cool for Rollins versus Roman is Rollins playing the mind games with Roman. And we've already seen Rollins use his best mind game trick on Roman when he came out to the Shield music and the Shield gear at Royal Rumble 2022. So, I mean, how could he have topped it? And plus, it's been done. It's, I'm sure it's a match they would like to have at WrestleMania one day, but I don't think it was anything that would have been worthy of Roman's reign or iconic reign.
This was such a historic run that you got to do something meaningful with the guy that beats him, and I just don't think Rollins, Sami, Jey, and The Rock capture that the way Cody did. Having said that, it's time for us to give our picks.
When you hit me with this idea, there were a few names that popped out. I could have gotten behind Braun Breaker doing it, especially if we would have got the Paul Heyman turn, and he was like, "This dude's the new Juggernaut. You're the old dog. We're gonna put you down." I could have got behind CM Punk, especially with the Best in the World deal, and after seeing their WrestleMania match this past year, how good that was, that could have been a great one. Really high up for me was Gunther. Especially if Gunther, going into WrestleMania 40, if Gunther's still the IC champion. So we get the Ultimate Challenge 2.0, which I've been asking for since the 1990. I've even written letters to WWE about it. The dominant WWE champion, the dominant IC champion, who's the top dog in the company, title for title. But you know me, I'm all gas. I'm no brakes with it. I would have went Jacob Fatu. We talked about Sammy at WrestleMania 39. I would have done that. I think that does a lot for Roman if he beats that underdog Sammy and breaks everybody's heart. You know, you could have had Roman feud with whoever that summer. I would have had him beat Orton at SummerSlam in the year 2023. And then that, you get Roman standing tall with the Usos and Solo Sikoa. That's when Fatu debuts. You can have the commentary team going crazy about this is the most dangerous Samoan in the family. Who let this guy in? Who brought this guy in? And we basically get everything we're getting now, where Roman has everything that Fatu wants and needs. Fatu is coming to set fire to Roman's island and burn his empire down. He could bring in the Tongans, Tama, Tongaloa, Tala Tonga, maybe Haku, if we want to get wild with it. That could set up your war games with Fatu standing tall. And then you could even do stuff with the Royal Rumble, where he announces he's going into the Rumble, and the Usos and Solo let Roman know, like, hey, don't worry about it. We're going in the Rumble. He's not going to win. Fatu easily smashes his way through the Rumble, lets Roman know he can't run anymore. And then at Mania, that's when the Empire falls. And after a war, a dream match, a battle, and the main event of WrestleMania 40, and then you get the surprise return of The Rock that helps Fatu in that historic title reign. It breaks Roman's heart and his spirit. And then you end WrestleMania 40 with a new monster heel champion, and then that sets up your Rock versus Roman as tribal warfare for the following WrestleMania.
The first thing I want to talk about is I wasn't the biggest fan of your Fatu pick, but the way that you're booking it, fuck, that's money, dude. That, like, we all talk about Rock face Roman. That's the best way to have captured it, and it gives you... Roman's loss gives you two things moving forward. You have a new superstar in Jacob Fatu, and then you have, oh shit, we're finally getting Rock face Roman.
Yeah, and it, like I said, it plays so perfectly with if you have the commentators always mentioning who brought this guy here, who let Fatu in, who let these Tongans in. They're dangerous, they're brutal, they're whatever. And then you find out it was The Rock. But he's basically been building this army to do his bidding and take down Roman and the Usos and Solo. And with Fatu, it just works perfectly how, you know, he's been to jail. He's almost kind of played up as the black sheep of this family and forgotten about, and nobody wants to talk about him. And then he comes out and he faces his, I don't know how they're related, but, you know, his quarterback cousin, his diamond of the family cousin, or however they're related. So it's just, you know, cool story. It would have been a great chapter for the Bloodline. It would have been epic WrestleMania 40, which we got an epic WrestleMania 40 with Cody and Roman. So this still is an epic WrestleMania 40.
I also want to point out the Braun Breaker was a nice idea too. Again, Breaker to me is a better choice than Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Rock, or Rollins, especially with that Paul Heyman turn. And then Gunther, again, that's another option to me that's better than the names I was seeing so much online. The Gunther option, that's literally, WWE has found success doing that. I know, like, they found success doing it with Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. I know that maybe Ultimate Warrior wasn't the best face of the company, but that we still talk about that match. Like, it's historic. So
it's still, iconic. And, he faltered, but...
It doesn't change the match. Like, the match is fucking crazy good. So Gunther and Roman... Again, money. So I definitely think I think the plan always was for Roman to lose at 40, win at 39. I think they might have actually thought Sammy could have filled the Cody Rhodes role, and he would have faltered at some point, which leads to WrestleMania 40. And it was two guys that really jumped out to me, and that's Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, both guys with long histories against Roman Reigns, against the Bloodline. Kevin Owens has a WrestleMania 39 main event against the Bloodline, teaming with Sami Zayn. So he was just as much involved in that feud that Sami was having with Roman leading up to WrestleMania. I think I go Drew McIntyre still. I think they would have gave it to him. I understand he lost that Clash at the Castle, and like that probably should have been the moment if he was going to win. They would have gave it to him. But after that, he's still feuding with him at War Games. I think you could have built himself back up to a point where maybe he wins Royal Rumble and he challenges at 39, loses again. It is tough losing like 3 times in a row. But he never really did get that crowning jewel moment, because of COVID. So do you think WWE would have used Roman to give Drew that, in essence, hey, this is our franchise guy now? Like, that's kind of what they were doing when he beat Brock at Mania, but it's just there was no reaction, there was no crowd. I do think Drew would have had to somehow get into his hater role, though. So Kevin Owens might have been the better option. I just think Drew makes the most sense because they clearly saw him as a guy that they wanted to be the face of the company. He just had terrible timing with the pandemic, and they're like, oh shit, we got money in Roman Reigns as a heel right now on this historic run. Let's just have Drew be the guy that finally overcomes all those odds.
I actually like both of those choices. Pretty sure that Roman and KO have had 3 separate Royal Rumble world title matches. I like Kevin Owens as being like a thorn in the Bloodline side. For me, if you were going to do a Mania match with them, I think if you kept having the Bloodline interfere on behalf of Roman, and finally KO is just like, I'm better than you, I can beat you one-on-one, tell your family to stay in the back, and then Roman's like, I'll do that if you put your career up and we get a career versus title match. I would have been behind that 100%. I'm also a big Kevin Owens fan, though, so maybe that's where I'm skewed. I think with the Drew McIntyre, you could have had him lose at Clash at the Castle and even lose at 39, but if you do it from Bloodline interference, and then the entire year of 2023 we get the Bloodline Hunter, and he's just picking the members off one by one, and then finally he wins the Royal Rumble in 2024 and then takes out Paul Heyman, and it's just Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. I think that's an epic story and an epic match. And KO and Roman are 2 guys that would have put on bangers with Roman and had epic WrestleMania matches. So I could have got behind both of those guys doing it.
I really like that KO idea for the emotional aspect you're talking about if he puts his career on the line. That kind of hits the same chords that Cody hit with finishing the story. So the question I also have now is Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Jacob Fatu. We think those are phenomenal choices, those 3. It's cool storylines. Can any of them actually capture that moment and run with it like Cody did?
You mean making SmackDown the worst wrestling show in the world?
Being QB1.
I think that coming off of, if you do any of those stories or angles, I think you have the chance for them to carry the company and carry the title really well. It's hard to say, what would have happened, but I think all 3 of those guys have proven that, they can get stuff over and they can do a good job. I know, KO hasn't had a world title in a long time, and I know Fatu hasn't been a main event player for a long time, but I think both of them, from what I've seen on the indies and in their careers, I think they could have done a really good job as world champion and being the guy that ended that historic run.
That's also why Kevin Owens jumped out to me too, is because he only has that one world title run. And he kind of got the short end of the stick during that as well. They're like, hey, you got to go put Goldberg over in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you got to open WrestleMania with Chris Jericho, even though your feud's been carrying Raw for, 8 months? So,
yeah. Well, they didn't even get to open WrestleMania. Shane McMahon did. They had to be the second match.
Yeah, dude.
But,
yeah, I feel like I feel like Kevin Owens and Drew are two guys that they paid their dues. Where I think Vince and Triple H might have been like, hey, let's build them up. They get great crowd reactions as baby faces. Let's have them be the guy that overcomes the tribal chief.
Yeah, and I mean that KO thing, if you do that and he puts his career on the line and you have somebody try to talk him out of it, and he's basically like, if I can't have another world title, then I shouldn't have a career. What's the point of even doing this? I mean, that would have been epic.
Even Kevin Owens could do the Bloodline Hunter too. That stunner is badass. Like that's the move to do that shit with.
Even, and then I don't know. I mean, maybe this is another episode, but you could have had Kevin Owens lose to Roman Reigns and lose his career, but we get Kevin Steen, and then he's the Bloodline Hunter.
Oh, fuck, dude, that would have been awesome. I was also thinking, like, with the Bloodline Hunter, if Rock cost him, like, let KO fucking wrestle Rock. Then he wrestles Stone Cold Steve Austin in The Rock. That would be a way to honor your guy. Like,
yeah, or even, like, if The Rock costs KO, you know, you could do a thing of where somebody's calling KO on the phone and come to find out it's Stone Cold, and KO showing up at TKO headquarters looking for The Rock and going in The Rock's office and tearing it up, kind of like Stone Cold used to do Vince back in the day.
Dude, that would have made great TV.
Like Austin being like, you know how to drive a Zamboni?
All right, so those were our picks for the guys that we would have chose to beat Roman Reigns to end his record title run. In the comments, let us know who you would have had in Roman's run if Cody Rhodes never left AEW.
That's another round of Two Views Wrestling with Tim and Greg. If you like the show, hit follow and share it with a fellow fan. Got a hot take or match request? Send it in. Until next time.